Today, I want to talk about Amazon stock. I'm not currently a shareholder, but I do think it is the most exciting tech stock in the FANG acronym. In this video, I'm going to analyze AMZN's most recent quarter, its stock movement, and where I believe it is heading. Talk about Andy Jassy replacing Jeff Bezos, and a potential upcoming stock split. Let's go. Usually, I'm more interested in small to mid-cap stocks as I think they traditionally have the higher upside. Amazon, now valued at $1.69 trillion, is, of course, one of those giants. Nevertheless, I'm starting to realize how I believe Amazon is undervalued at this present moment and could be heading above a $2 trillion market cap this year. Q4. Let's check out Amazon's Q4 results. So here we are on HyperCharts. This is Amazon.com Incorporated, and this is the quarterly view. You'll see Amazon's Q4 just monstrous, destroying every other previous quarter with total revenues of $125.55 billion. Of course, the majority of that coming from the online stores, a little bit from physical stores. Then we've got AWS and other third-party services. All right, if we continue down, revenue segments by geography, a lot of it coming from North America, of course. AWS still a pretty large piece of that whole thing compared with the international sales. Amazon, just a monster as we know it. That quarter-over-quarter growth is very impressive for a company coming off such a large base as Amazon is. And that was a year-over-year increase in revenue of 44%, just incredible for Amazon. So I did want to just compare Apple and Amazon in terms of revenue. And this is the first time that Amazon has actually eclipsed Apple in the fourth quarter. You'll see Apple's fourth quarter, $111 billion, just the monster that Apple is, compared to Amazon, really eclipsing it at $125 billion. If we look at historical Q4 numbers, Apple has historically dominated compared to Amazon in Q4. So of course we got the pandemic action going on, but Amazon just looking so strong compared to Apple when Apple is the more valuable company, which brings me to the share price. Here we are looking at the stock price of Amazon. We'll zoom out to the 3 months, not much action going on. Zoom out 6 months, same thing. But here we are. This is the 1 year chart, of course, pandemic down there, the big rise from the success off the online sales of the pandemic. Let's zoom out just a little bit farther. And here we have Amazon since August pretty much consolidating. Not really any up action, not really any down action, just moving sideways. That's what consolidation is all about. And it's incredible to think that Amazon had its best quarter of all time and the stock did not react either in anticipation or reaction to the news. And part of that is, of course, the Bezos effect, losing Bezos. I'll talk about that in just a minute. I think Tesla's induction into the S&P 500 has put a little bit of a downward pressure on Amazon, at least in the months before and after the said induction. I think that may be why Amazon's price has been a little bit artificially suppressed when it should have broken out maybe a little higher. Nevertheless, I think this is a great base right here. I'm not really into technicals, but I do think it is only a matter of time. You see a little bit of a wedge building here before Amazon breaks out to new all-time highs. We're looking at an all-time high of around $3,400. I think Amazon could be on its way to breaking past $4,000 per share, and I'll get to talking about a split in just a minute. And heading over to Lucid Tracking, which tracks ARK Invest's movements, you'll see they're only adding over time, which is a trend for them. With any stocks they're very confident in, of course. And we know that ARK Invest only buys stocks that they believe will double over a given 5-year time horizon. So that is great news for Amazon stock, at least for any retail investors that trust ARK Invest looking at their activity when it comes to AMZN. So Amazon doubling from here, put them over a $3 trillion market cap, make them a very strong company. I think they have so much going for them, even with the CEO turnover. I think Amazon is likely soon to become the most valuable company in the world if Tesla does not beat them to it. Alright, Bezos to Jassy. So Bezos stepping away and Amazon losing their founder is never a good thing to see. But if you think about it, the same thing happened. Steve Jobs, Tim Cook stepped up and has really been responsible for the economic success since his transition to the role of CEO. Apple's nearly entire upside has come from that transition and what Tim Cook has been able to do with the revenue and profitability side of the business, putting that first. Of course, losing Steve Jobs was heartbreaking for Apple, but Tim Cook rose to the occasion and has turned Apple into one of the most iconic brands of all time.
Well, Jeff is so unusual and so talented, and there's so many things that are impressive about the guy. He's unbelievably inventive. He's a really big thinker. I mean, teams bring ideas to him and they seem big, and then Jeff looks around another corner and makes it bigger. In the earlier days, he was involved in virtually everything the company did, every decision the company made. It was as a books only and then as a retail only company, that was easier to do. But anybody who's had a chance to build a larger business with many more people and many more market segments realizes that you can't be involved in every meeting and every decision as the company grows. And there are some leaders and managers who can make that adjustment because you have to build different mechanisms to still be able to see what's happening in the business without having to be in every meeting. And some don't make that transition. And he was really capable of finding a great leadership team. Some companies are lucky enough to build an amazing customer experience in one market segment or business segment. Some do two. It's rare that you do three like Amazon has done. And so I think we just feel like our work is not done. We have a great chance to build a lasting company that outlasts all of us. And it's fun and interesting. Right, so we get to be builders.
You moved to AWS, which sort of was the saving grace of Amazon, because it was you were there I was covering for the Wall Street Journal, Amazon.bomb cleared, can this make money? AWS sort of changed the equation for the company in that regard. It was a huge moneymaker. It created a lot of support for everything else that now is working really well. Can you talk about that transition for you?
A number of things that made us think the idea might be a good idea, but probably the biggest one for us was that we felt like we were moving slower in our consumer business and delivering software than we wanted.
And then, of course, Andy Jassy, with his background of AWS and that powerhouse, he is probably the best in line to be taking over. So I don't think Amazon is in a bad position here. I just think, of course, it would be better if Bezos could stay CEO for all of time, but that is not an option. And this could breathe some new life into Amazon, and Andy Jassy maybe taking some new approaches, and who knows, maybe Amazon will be even more successful under his leadership. Personally, I think Amazon needs a more seemingly accessible price point. Amazon needs an approximate 20% rise to become a $2 trillion company, which would put the stock price at $4,000. I do again think this is likely this year, with the incredible numbers they've been putting up. At the end of the day, stock price is irrelevant because almost all brokerages offer fractional trading. Overall, it is necessary to have a $100s price, not $1,000s, and that is, of course, just my opinion, but I think having the more seemingly accessible price can go a long way for retail interest and not just putting the stock out there as an only institutional buy. So could this split be imminent with Andy Jassy at the helm? Perhaps. It did appear that Bezos was opposed to the split, but I don't know if it will be Jassy's first order of business. Regardless, we could see this change at some point this year. I hope this rundown was insightful. Amazon is not one of the companies that I follow very closely, but I do think I'll take a position in the future for the aforementioned reasons. How do you feel about AMZN? Until next time.